Hi, this is Professor Rujo with the introduction to Module 2. Module 2 is now open and it will be due on May 29th, as you see here. Once you get into Module 2, you open up the Module to-do list. Module 2 is focused strictly on Chapter 3. And the reason it's focused strictly on Chapter 3 is because Chapter 3 is a very critical chapter. Chapter 3 first introduces us onto how to analyze transactions. And so learning objective 1, even though it's only these 8 pages, they're probably among the most important 8 pages you're going to be reading because you need to understand how to analyze transactions in order to understand the bookkeeping process that's going to be introduced to you. Learning objective 1 does not teach you anything other than to how to analyze transactions. And that's critical because all we do in accounting is analyze what's going on. So please make sure you spend a good amount of time on learning objective 1. Learning objective 2 is also a bit of analysis, but in this case is simply the analysis of an account. Every account, and we've gone over several in the first 2 chapters, such as the cash account or the accounts payable account or the service revenue account or the common stock account. All accounts have 2 sides, a left side and a right side. They have names. The left side is called the debit side. The right side is called the credit side. But all accounts have 2 sides. Okay, so the numbers are either going to go on the left side or the right side. And that is a very important thing to analyze as well. So learning objective 2 teaches you about that all accounts have 2 sides, a left side and the right side. They have formal names, the debit side and the credit side. But regardless of the formal names, you have to know which side of every account increases it and what side of the account decreases it. Because only 2 things can happen in every account. It either is going to go up or down. That's it. Those are the only 2 things that can happen in an account. Just like your savings account. You put money in, you have more money. Take money out, you got less money. Well, believe it or not, the bank is doing this for you. Every time you put money in, they're going to, increase their liability. Every time you take money out, they're going to decrease their liability. And so that's why you have a debit card. And so that's a very interesting thing, but really pay attention here to the account and the 2 sides of the account. Learning objective 3 teaches you this is when you're going to first start doing accounting, because all accounting starts in the journal. So we're going to be doing journal entries, and that is really the beginning of accounting. But look at how much we have to know before we can actually sit down and actually do the bookkeeping that's involved. You have to know all those accounts, right? You have to know how to analyze. So it's extremely important that you spend some time on the first 2 objectives, particularly objective 1, and then do objective 2 and give yourself a chance to settle that in. And then you'll see it practiced in learning objective 3 in the journal. After the journal, the numbers travel. They go into a very large book called the ledger. And the ledger is a very important book of accounts that all businesses have. And learning objective 4 in this chapter is dedicated to the general ledger. Accounting starts in the journal. Those numbers get transferred over to the ledger. To make sure the ledger is balanced, because all the accounts are listed in the ledger, we do something called a trial balance, and that is learning objective 5. Okay, it's actually the simplest of all the things that you can do in this chapter. So we are going to save the easiest for last. Again, it's very important that you review and study the practice problems so you can understand that the entire beginning of the bookkeeping process is shown to you. Analyzing transactions, putting them in the journal, moving them or posting them to the ledger, and then making sure the ledger is balanced with something called a trial balance. That entire review needs to be done because that's basically what your test is going to be about for this module. Okay, I hope this was helpful.